Welcome to the Curse City Podcast. My name is Drew, self-proclaimed Mayor of Mordheim, where the shiny rocks are dangerous, rat men are not real, and your first egg is always free. Thank you so much for listening. I've been going through it this weekend. Just Saturday, I released the podcast, the first, I think it was like 18 episodes, if you will. And it's Monday now, Monday afternoon. I'm driving home from Pensacola, Florida, after the Necromunda event that I did, which I'll tell you about. But it's just been crazy. I mean, 329 episode or listens already. It's been like 3.5 days. I am flabbergasted. And I've only received, fortunately, unfortunately, positive feedback. Everybody seems to enjoy it so far. Maybe as they get through it, they'll have some critiques or some things that they want to tell me I talk too much about or I don't talk enough about. Or even better, new topics, or people they want me to interview or talk to or talk about hobby with. I'm taking all those suggestions, and I would really like some real feedback. Don't worry about feelings. But yeah, I mean, 329 streams, and I think the Instagram has over 500 followers already. Man, Mordheim is not dead. It's showing signs of life. And we need to do everything that we can to keep it that way. So, I just want to talk a little bit about my weekend, which was, Instagram has 620 followers, right? Jeez, that's crazy. So I just want to talk about the event, and I got to hang out with the Necromacho Entertainment Podcast boys, Roy and Richard, both awesome dudes. Oh yeah. And just had a phenomenal weekend. The event they put together was awesome. Everybody that participated was a chill person, had a great time playing in every game that I played, and just a strong community there. The store owner of Level Up Games, I think his name was Wes. We met him very briefly at the end on Sunday evening. And just a great guy, really, supportive of the hobby and all the other hobbies that they have there. But excellent time. I learned a lot. I had a lot of fun. I got a lot of compliments on one of my models in particular, which I truly appreciate. I have just the ultimate case of imposter syndrome. I really do. I am always fearful that I am completely faking everything I'm doing, and everybody sees that. And, and I know everybody else feels similarly, or most of us do anyway. So yeah, just I guess keep going and keep on trucking and do what you like. And that's what I did. This particular model is my Psygeist, and she's the Doc Octopus looking model with the tentacles, and she's hovering over a mutilated Van Sar corpse, which was really fun when I played the Van Sar guy, because he had the old school Van Sar sculpts painted the same traditional green paint scheme that was on my corpse. It's perfect. But the reason she was a star is because I put a little micro LED in her hood, so her face was glowing from this unseen light source. And Richard, Les Gray Minis on Instagram, he took photos with his incredible photo rig, and he just looks so cool. It's so atmospheric and dark and scary and just awesome. I'm blown away by it. He made my stuff look way better than it has any right to look. But yeah, I mean, awesome event. I had a great time. Had lots of drama on the table. No drama off the table. That's what we'd like to see, And just a ton of action. And I got to talk to the guys for a really long time on Saturday. And I wanted to talk to them specifically about their Necroheim. So they do go by Necroheim. I thought they said Mordmunda at some point. I just wanted to make sure they didn't do that in New York. Necroheim flows off the tongue, for sure. And we talked a bit about it and how it's really more of a reskinning of Necromunda. That's their Necroheim play style, I suppose you could call it. And that's really cool. It's really interesting. He had made I think it was Roy, had made a Beastman warband. They were Beastman models with the Corpse Rider called rules, which is perfect. Perfect for Beastman in a number of ways and for a number of reasons. Beastmen are widely considered one of the more potent warbands, sort of in the upper ranges of easy cheese, let's call it. You can definitely make some scary warbands using Beastmen if you go a little too crazy with it. Similar corpse grinders are very similar in Necromunda. They can be made to be pretty cheesy as well. Not that Roy does that. Come on. Roy is purely narrative driven, 100%. With real ones, and yeah, I appreciate that. So it was really cool to talk to them. We talked for a long time. I'm sure some of that they'll probably put in Necromacho episode coming up about the Heat Tithe, hopefully. And it'll be kind of weird to listen to the podcast that I love to listen to and hear my own voice at some point. I'm sure I made a fool of myself, but that's pretty standard, especially on a gaming weekend or event. So yeah, we got that done. It was a great time. And I tried to talk to them about more Mordheim. A few people came up, and Mordheim was mentioned. As soon as it was mentioned, I jumped away from my table, completely disregarded my opponent to kind of go, what you got? What we talking about here? We got some Mordheim there. Obviously, I'm just not kidding. I wouldn't do that. That'd be terribly rude. I mean, I did do that, but not quite so rudely. Anyway, it was a cool event. We had a blast. I'm going to give just a little bit of rundown of how the event went. This is, again, as I mentioned, the drive up. This is a Necromunda heavy episode. So, if you're pure Mordheim, passionate and no room or love for the Munda, you may want to just skip over this one, because that's about all the Mordheim talk we got, unfortunately. But if you're still listening, here we go. So, day one, Saturday. I roll in with my 1,200 credits at the lock. I've got 2 knock ghouls with Serpent's Fang. They have a whole bunch of cool homebrew rules, including reduced cool for people that have armor because it's so hot, they're sweaty, and they're not as cool. And then also, they had limitation of only one unique skill for everybody who has a skill in a starting gang, so no doubling up spring up knock ghouls, which, funnily enough, I don't do that. I usually put spring up on one knock ghoul and Overwatch and throwing knives on another knock ghoul, because in my experience, the knock ghouls, if they both pop up, one of them dies almost always because you can only activate with one when you're starting out, unless you pop them up together, which I never do because it's not as fun. I like them coming up out of nowhere, across the board, just sowing chaos. It was great, and it was very effective. So, first game I played against Michael, a.k.a. DC Liska, on the Discords. Some people may know him. The dude flew in from DC, so I don't even have the title of furthest travel. He flew in for this event, which is amazing. And to be fair, the only reason I didn't fly in is because none of the flights worked for me. So, he and I played. He had Paladin Enforcers done up as Helmar's Guard. So they were all really clean and crispy. It clearly didn't belong in the Underhive. It was very thematic and cool. And actually, Richard had painted the gang for him. Richard's a commissioned painter that does incredible work, so they looked awesome. And we had the privilege of playing our first game on the JD and the Sump Seaboard that they donated to the Necromacho guys. Oh my God, is it incredible? There's videos of all of them on the Discord or on the Instagram page. I think I made a video reel and then shared it. I don't know. Anyways, all of the tables were just incredible, amazing. And this one in particular was just a lot of fun. We played the Gunk War scenario. All of the tables had special rules where there was some kind of plant life, some kind of violent, aggressive plant life all over the board. So we had to place I think it was like 8 pieces of fungus or razor plants or whatever else they got. There was like glowing fungi and like corrosive fungus and just all kinds of nonsense. And they all had different interactions. They all had different rules. So in Gunk War, the middle of the board is like a ring of fire in it. And to go through the fire, it's like you take damage from a blaze hit type of thing. And I ended up being the defender. So I had my squad in the middle of the ring of fire, which was a little uncomfortable because it also suffers from pitch black in this scenario. And everybody that's close to the fire is revealed. So there's a big glowing circle in the middle of the board in which your guys are placed if you're on the defender's side. I did have home turf advantage, which is good. Means you get to roll, I think it's 2 dice for bottle checks and pick the lowest. Is one of the home turf advantages. The rich with home turf advantages, your hangers on can come on. And of course, I started with a Whisper Merchant. And of course, I rolled poorly, and my Whisper Merchant was involved in the fight. So I did have Infiltrate on my leader with a long rifle. And I did have a Not Goal. I did pop up my Not Goals in some cool spots towards the back of the board. I think the darkness helped me with one of them for sure. But it was a fun game. It was scary at first for me, but then when the Not Goals showed up and the DC was not able to eliminate their danger, it was pretty clear he was gonna suffer some severe losses. So he bottled. In fact, he bottled because a Not Goal charged his downed leader, and I think killed him. I think he 66'd him. This is the first game. So I felt pretty horrible that my first move was to murder a leader, but it's Necromunda. It does happen. This game can be rough for sure. Well, that game. So I won the first game. They also had limitations on credits. So if you won, you got 50 credits. If you lost, you got 30. And if it was a draw, each player got 15. So they didn't want games running on and on just to avoid losing when so making a little bit of a credit incentive to lose. I think that mitigated that. So the games were pretty streamlined. It did take too long. That game took more time to set up than it did play because of the plants combined with the gun take rules. We kind of had to figure out some stuff too, how it would work with the board. Like we had our own rule that because this was already a sub-C board, there was a ring, an open ring around the gun take, but also there was an elevated platform above that ring. So we figured, okay, well if you climb up to that platform and walk across, you don't get burned by the fire. But you are glowing and you are standing wide out in the open, elevated, so it's a dangerous proposition, to say the least. He at one point, he had a big, nasty subjugator looking dude with a shield and it looked like a power maul or something. He got up there in a cloud of smoke, jumped down into my champion who had a web pistol, who shot a whole bunch of guys, did nothing but, pin them, and I think webbed one of them, but he escaped. Jumped down on top of him and seriously injured him, but didn't kill him. He didn't coup de grace because he wanted to move forward to get in a better position to hurt my other guys that were there. And that was a big mistake because he didn't get the kill, I managed to take that subjugator out and my champion recovered. And, that was sort of the point where champion recovered, his leader died. I was taking shots with my long rifle and in the corner doing some work, and it just didn't look good. So he bottled out. My next game was with another Michael L. He was playing also enforcers, but not Paladin enforcers. I don't remember what flavor of enforcer he was, but he was super dangerous. He had a couple of bolters. He had some kind of blast long-range rifle thingy that scared me a couple times. And we played on this another just beautiful, gorgeous board. It had this big like landing pad area surrounded by defensive structures, a tall building, and a whole bunch of walls, and columns, and platforms. Just every court was incredible. A tremendous paint job by not only Richard, but a lot of the other guys there contributed to. So we play on this board, and this one has this fungus that appears in the middle, and it has a chance to spread. And for us, it only spread one time, and it spread one group of fungus towards him, and it never actually had an effect in our game. We avoided it, and it didn't spread a whole lot. I did see other games where the fungus killed plenty of people because it kept spreading and swallowing up minis and eating them apparently. But he just was able to keep me gunned down and pinned down, and he got really, really good rolls on a lot of his wounds. And I just had a bunch of guys seriously injured, left, right, and center. My 2 knuckles drop in. One of them kills the guy with the long blaster thingy, which was causing me a bit of grief. Killed him, hopped down, was safe. The other one snuck up behind somebody, the one that has Overwatch throwing knives. And he had a target in mind, but he also had a potential threat nearby. And so my focus was, okay, well, if I face both of them, I will be able to overwatch whichever one reacts and hopefully prevent, self-implosion. Which, that's why I get Overwatch throwing knives on a knuckle. That's why I do it. So, sure, do it. But I didn't. The guy turned to face me to shoot me with a shotgun. And I was right in that it didn't kill me, but it pinned me, and I don't spring up. So now I realized, oh yeah, really got to pay attention to why I do things and remember to follow through. So I was pinned, I stood up, I moved forward, he got a little more cover, and he took, I want to say he took a bolter blast, and he survived, but then that same shotgun guy got right behind him, hit him with a scatter shot in the back, and killed him dead. He did 66 by knuckle. So, this is a campaign, it's game 2, with limited credit generation. And I just lost 225 credits. Now, if you have a guy still on the field, you have a chance or you get to keep your equipment, which the equipment was 90 credits. That was a lot. But I had to bottle because I had a whole bunch of guys down and seriously injured. He had just guys marching straight towards me down this hallway. It was like we pretty much fought only in this one area where it was like a long hallway. And I could not advance. I couldn't take shots because he just kept destroying me with those bolters and with that blast long rifle thingy and the shotgun. The shotgun was real effective. My other issue, which I almost forgot about, was my specialist with the long rifle and my Saigeist all stayed kind of, the specialist kept chasing the Saigeist because the Saigeist broke. The Juve died next to the Saigeist, and Saigeist broke, fled, didn't rally, even with help from the specialist. So fled again. And so my specialist chasing this Saigeist who's running away for half the game. By the time she rallies, they are so far away, they're not going to be able to do anything. They're way out of position. I keep trying to move them up, but they can't get involved. So I had to battle. I don't think I failed the bottle check. I just was at the point where it's like, there's no way. If I go one more turn, he was going to come down that hallway and just stomp on all these seriously injured people, and that's going to be real bad. So I made it out, tail between legs, and lost a knuckle, which was expensive. Oh yeah, first game, by the way, also against DC. My specialist with the long rifle died. So any credits I made there, I just spent on replacing my specialist. Luckily, I got to keep his long rifle because I won that game. So first game, lost a specialist, had to buy him back. Second game, lost a knockoff. So I am out a little over 300 creds in the first 2 games. So I was getting a little bit of that darkness, that foreboding feeling that maybe I'm going to be doing one of those re-rack things where I got to start over from scratch, which, you know what? I don't mind. I don't mind doing that at all. I'm there to roll dice. What happens, happens. If my game gets annihilated, so be it. So next, another thing I want to mention. They had little QR codes on the table that you could scan to report your basically your short version battle report of how much experience you got, how much rep, who won, who played, and also include a little ranking for sportsmanship and gang composition. I thought that was really kind of cool. So this, form popped up on your phone, and you filled it out. Took 3 seconds and recorded. So that was really cool. And then it helped them, obviously, with the awards at the end. So next game, I played against good old Patrick Michael. Yeah, Patrick Michael from Ireland. Not really from Ireland, from Maryland. But he's Irish. He went to an Irish place for dinner, so he started talking like that. Or I did anyway. I didn't offend anybody, but I probably did. Anyway, he was rocking squats. And we played on the classic Necromunda, the original Necromunda N97 terrain. It was incredible. It looked pristine. I don't know if somebody remade it, or if that's just the condition that it stayed in. But it was wild. It was perfect shape, and it was beautiful, and we had a great time. We played Data Heists, which was so thematic. I was the attacker, so I had to go hack these data rigs, which were the little terrain piece with the data stacks, I think they are. Data, I have no idea. I'll probably use them interchangeably. So anyway, he placed them as the defender. You guys have placed them. So, and I told him in advance, I said, I got a knock goal is going to pop up and do awful things to you. He can pop up anywhere, so keep that in mind. If you're facing, keep your facing in mind, because I can't pop up in line of sight. I've also got an infiltrating leader with a long rifle, so keep that in mind. And he was like, look, man, I only have 5 models, or I think he only had 6 models, and 4 of them infiltrate, so I know all about it. Okay, all right. So he placed the data stacks, placed his guys. I have guys literally back-to-back to cover full 360 line of sight, trying to avoid him placing a whole bunch of guys danger close. But sure enough, I missed a spot, and he placed 2 big bad boys, like a short big bad boys, like danger close to my whole crew. And then when he placed his data stacks, he placed one kind of close to wait a minute, did he place them? He must have placed them. I'm pretty sure he placed them, but now I don't remember. He placed them. He placed them, and we knew what side we were on and everything. He placed them. They had to be a certain distance away from him, I think, because they had to be a little closer to the attacker, so the defender had to kind of come up and protect them. But the attacker had to go up to them to I think a basic action to try to hack the terminal, and it's a intelligence check. Okay, I only have 2 guys with good intelligence. Happens to be my infiltrating leader and my knock. So first turn, I have my champion with the web pistol, which I pointed out when he infiltrated his guys in. I said, he is right here that is a real web pistol. You might be in range there. Are you cool with that? And he said, yes. It's okay. So I got priority, and that's, what do I do? But run him up there and blast him with web. I pinned them, and I webbed one of them. The Zeitgeist ran up the structure and was gonna. She tried to charge, but she didn't reach. She ran up the structure. She ended up standing on this platform, like, just wide open. Big, beautiful target, standing above two downed stunties that she could have easily dispatched, but failed to reach. He then shot her into smithereens. He also boltered my specialist with a long rifle that was in the back of the map. No, I think it was an auto gun, but he got like 3 hits and just shredded the specialist. So specialist gone, prospect gone, and I'm thinking, oh crap, I'm probably not going to win. He has this big nasty thing with like 2 like grinders on its hands and this big nasty suit. Run up to a Juve I had on the other flank, and clearly he's just going to annihilate him when he gets in range. And then that's kind of where the game shifted. This is turn 1, so immediately it's looking real bad for me. Yes, he has a couple of guys pinned, one of whom is wept, but that's not necessarily that bad when he's destroyed the threat to them. And then this big boy in the tower flanking me right near the data stack that he could then probably climb down and protect. So I had that Juve that was facing that big nasty thing. It was on an edge, and I knew, like, I have no shot at hurting it. No shot. But if I can knock it down and it falls, it'll be, at least my Juve will be safe, because I could shoot it, knock it down, and move away, and he would have to stand up, then climb, then charge, and I'd be fine. Sure enough, I shot him. It was point blank range with a stub gun, so it was +2 to hit. I hit him. Obviously didn't wound him, but I did pin him, and he did fall. And yay! And then my Juve just kind of ran away, and not now that big scary thing's not totally scary, more like a terrifying turtle that's stuck on its back. At the same time, I ran up another Juve, my last Juve, to the data stack that was nearest my deployment zone, and I rolled, I think a boxcars or an 11 or 10s or something like that, and I passed my intelligence check and successfully hacked the data cluster, which I was assuming my Juve was going to have to sit there for a number of turns to keep doing it to be able to actually hack it, because its intelligence is 8 up. But kind of the first try, and so I thought, okay, well, this game is about to be over. My last activation is my leader, who infiltrated right on top of that giant tower with the unprotected data stack. So we infiltrated right on it, right behind it. And so very first activation, I go to do his intelligence check, which I think is a 6 up, and I fail it. So I don't win in turn 1. So turn 2 starts. I place my knock goal in his back line, facing off against just a ganger, and he gets priority. He goes first. I think he shoots my knock goal, and I'm pretty certain that he missed it. So I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take another intelligence check for my leader to try to hack the data stack and immediately win and end the game. But if I don't pass this one, it's going to make me angry. And that knock goal is going to be released, and it's going to unleash the fury on this ganger in the back line. And my champion is going to move up and try to web the rest of those guys that were in front, maybe end a couple of them. My Juve is now free to come over and maybe hit some coup de grace, so it's going to be gnarly if I don't pass it this time. And of course, I did pass it immediately into the game. So it's 1 turn, and then he activated, and then I activated, game over. So, not the most exciting. I wish it had lasted longer, because he did some heavy damage when he hit me. But yeah, infiltrating my leader right into one of the data clusters and getting really lucky on my first intelligence check with a Jew, and knocking down that big boy that was already like in my deployment zone. All three of those things had to happen for me to win that quickly like that. So it was tactical. It was fun. He is a great guy. Super chill. Very into the dwarf culture, if you will. So a stand up lad, but not too tall because squats. My next game was against Brian. So far I've gone win, loss, win. Now I face Brian with his Escher. And we are in a scenario, I think it was called like experimental drugs or something like that, where the whole point was our whole gang, each of our gang is given experimental drugs to do and then fight each other to see what will happen. I didn't read the rules very well because first turn went like, okay, I would move up a little bit and get some positioning in, and then he would activate and he would just do drugs and not go anywhere and roll on the drug chart. So if you roll a 1, you gain a flesh wound and your turn ends. If you roll a 2 through 4, you gain a flesh wound, but you also gain an inch of movement and I think like +1 strength maybe. And then if you roll a 6, you I think you don't gain a flesh wound. You gain an inch of movement, you gain a strength, and you gain an extra action. Or maybe you just gained an extra action. I think actually you just gained an extra action. You could probably look these rules up because I think it's a standard scenario. I just can't remember the name. Experimental drugs, probably. You figure it out. It's not. It won't be hard. At any rate, he just did drugs. He just sat back there doing drugs, and I was trying to maneuver it. He's like, "Why aren't you doing the drugs?" I was like, "Well, I'm gonna do them when you're like close. I don't want to be covered in flesh wounds and then fight you." He's like, "Well, you get experience every time you do drugs," and I go, "Oh, whoops." So he's sitting back there with a deathmate with like 15 experience, and I haven't done it like at all. And so I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes more sense. I should be doing it as much as you." So I started doing the drugs, but I kept rolling really poorly. So my guys were all like toughness 1. I missed a whole bunch of activations because they kept rolling 1s. It was rough. He had a guy that was very difficult to shoot, had an extra -2 modifier. He had he had a plasma gun, he had a plasma pistol, he had a whole bunch of tools to get the job done, and he was doing it. We also had these fungal growths that if you moved within an inch of them, they shot you with a scatter shot template with concussion and it was concussion and something else. I don't remember. It was dangerous. It was scattershot strength 2. And so, when you're running around with toughness 2 or toughness 1, that's very, very scary proposition. So we were constantly trying to avoid those things. And my not goal popped up. And I popped him up. I don't know what I was thinking. I really don't. I guess when I game, I may have mentioned these, I'm partying when I game. I'm not paying enough attention. I go in with ideas and strategies and plans, but I don't pay any attention up during the game. I want to move everybody as fast as they can move. I want to get into it as quickly as I can, and I want there to be chaos and destruction on both sides. My ideal game is where there's 2 guys left at the end, and they're both bleeding, So I put my not goal directly behind his deathmate, thinking, okay, we've got to kill this deathmate. What I wasn't thinking about was, okay, if he wins priority, I have nothing to stop that deathmate. And sure enough, he won priority. I clearly should have put the not goal anywhere else. Maybe within Overwatch range of my leader, who he infiltrated on top of like an 11.5-inch tall tower. That information is going to be very important in a minute. So he spent the whole game up there just trying to pick people off and just not doing it. Hitting fine, just not wounding. And that was a constant problem. But I certainly should have had him keeping an eye on the not cool, and I didn't. And I put him in danger close to a Death Maiden, and the Death Maiden turned around, charged him, shredded him immediately. I mean, it was like he rolled 5 dice, and he just needed to cause a single wound because he was all toxin through the nose, and he also had all the boost to toxin, so he needed anything but a 1 pretty much. And sure enough, he took the not cool right out of action. Luckily, not cool. I think just went out cold. Nothing too bad. But that's always a scary proposition, losing a not cool. It's a lot of credits, and it's really, especially when there's only one. That's my whole game. That's the thing that does work. Everything else, it's just kind of there to look pretty, be a distraction, and we were distracting. So nothing good happened after that for me. I should have been getting crushed, but for Brian's complete inability to roll anything above a 1 or a 2 after that point. Everything he rolled was 1s. It was unbelievable. That game should have been over that same turn, which I think was turn 2. It should have ended that turn, but he couldn't kill me. It was really crazy. He would shoot me with a whole bunch of shots and roll a 1 to wound, and I would do nothing in return, just over and over again, activation for activation. And finally, he managed to shoot back at my leader who was in that tower with knockback. He didn't wound him, as usual, but it automatically knocked him off the edge. He fell 11 inches down. Rolled for a strength 9 hit. And he rolled a 1. So my leader survived the fall. And what's really crazy, what's really funny is there was a stack of crates on at the ground level where the tower was, right where my leader fell. So it really did look like he just fell from an insane height and landed on a bunch of boxes that must have been full of pillows. Because that's the only explanation that makes sense. At that point, I just voluntarily bottled because he was the only one that really had line of sight on people that could do anything, and he still couldn't do anything. And I was certain that the dice were going to turn again. So I hightailed it out of there. So win, loss. 500 through the first day. Tons of fun that game. Me and Brian were having a hilarious time just hanging out, doing drugs instead of fighting each other. It was just really pretty hilarious. And it was always so funny when the drugs would be bad, because it was always really bad when it happened. Just poor timing. But it was a total slap fight. We couldn't really do anything to each other after he took that not cool out. And like I said, everybody's running around with toughness 1. Maybe toughness 2 if they were lucky. And so great game. That's when I did some recording with the Necromacho guys. We had a lot of fun doing that. Did that for a long time. I was expecting a brief little chat, but no, we cooked. We cooked for a bit. So hopefully that sounded good. It was interesting. Day 2, I first faced off against Matt, the guy with the Van Sar that matched the corpse on Gale, the Prospect's base. And his gang is just amazing. He actually won Best Gang Composition because he had the original metal models, and whatever they were modeled with is what he did. So he had a Van Sar leader with a chainsword and a plasma pistol. Like, this is a thematic dude. That's all he likes, the old hammer models. Like, very, very cool stuff. Great paint jobs, too. He looked awesome. And it's just so funny, the size difference between the old models and the new models. I love all the old models, especially when I go to these Mordheim weekends and I see, Lily's old Night Goblins. They're just so beautiful. But the scale creep is real. And the new models, as beautiful as they are, I like that they're a little bit bigger for Necromunda, but I don't like it so much for Mordheim, because the Mordheim terrain tends to be a little tighter to get in and around the buildings. Whereas Necromunda's got a lot more openness to even the dense terrain. But whatever, side note. We played on the crane board that the Necromacho guys made. Incredible board. This crane is amazing. It turns, the cargo container can come off of it. Like, it's wild. And the scenario is gang moot, so the gangs are like, it's smaller gang or smaller crew, and you're spread all the way out all over this map. It's just the two leaders meet in the middle in these like habs. It's a casino, and it's this giant like stack of crates and hab units at the top, ash waste hab units that comprise this casino. And so he's in one hab and I'm in the other with our leaders. I get the priority. There's a Vansar leader with a plasma pistol and a chainsword. I obviously need to leave. So we had this whole story because it's about a gang parlay or business deal gone wrong. And so what we figured was my Delok were selling information to the Vansar. Obviously, fake information. So we completed our transaction and I left. So my leader just ran out of the hab, climbed down the stairs, and got to a safe position. And that's when the jig is up. He realized, you've cheated us. I need to get out there and correct the wrong and yada yada. So they're the only two, the leaders, the only two that start with ready markers. Everybody else can move 6 inches, which we, at the end phase, just move. And we completely forgot about that. So I don't think we did it one time. Or maybe we did it a single time, we never remember. And they only gain ready markers if they pass an intelligence check after being within 12 inches of somebody making a ranged attack that doesn't have the silent tree. So somebody shoots, obviously it makes people realize there's a fight going on. The problem is all my Jews and everything is 8 intelligence. So I wasn't getting ready markers. The only thing that saved me in this game was the fact that the Vansar, having good intelligence, he had a very small gang. He had taken some losses, I think, and also Vansar are just generally expensive. So, pretty sure he only had 4, maybe 5 guys. He had his leader. He had a specialist with a plasma gun. He had a Juve downstairs. He had another Juve downstairs. And then he had one, you think, Juve up at the top of the crane. So I put my specialist long rifle at the top of the crane, but underneath the boom, if you will, of the crane. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to put my guy on top of the boom so I can just climb down and kill you. Like, okay, well, that's a good idea. So there were also, again, there were plants. These plants had 3-inch range, I think. And I want to say you had to take if you got within 3 inches of them, I think you got hit with something that was bad. Some of the plants, like if you got within the threat range, usually it was 3 inches, you take an initiative check. Some of them is if you just at any point in your movement come within 3 inches, you take a test. Some of them were only if you start or end your movement within 3 inches do you take a test. And they're all different. Some of them were like actual shooting attacks, and some weren't shooting attacks, and then some were kind of not clear. So we did have to do some thinking on some of those things, like, do you go pinned if this plant hits you? So these are things we kind of had to talk about before really getting into it. And but the plants didn't really come into play in this particular game. They scatter, so you place them, and all but I think 2 of them scatter. This is pretty much every game that was set up this way. So they all scattered kind of in these clumps. They were really close to one of my Juves, but they also were really close to, or that Juve was also really close to his Jews. So I was more concerned about those guys because they have guns and not sleeves. At any rate, when his leader popped out of the hab, he shot the only guy I could see, which was a Juve that was at the base of the casino, waiting to meet with my leader. So he unloaded his plasma pistol at her and did only the 2 flesh wounds. She survived with 2 flesh wounds. It was crazy. So that allowed her to gain a ready marker, and it also allowed, it just allowed her to gain a ready marker. So she moved up. My leader, her, kind of hung out, and then my I think in turn 2. This one I'm a little. My memory's a little hazy on a lot of these, right? So because we ultimately, I think we played like 8 games, and that's a lot to remember. The short version of what happened is my knock goal was placed and shredded his leader, and that just meant that I had to survive. He in turn though blasted my leader with a plasma gun and put him seriously injured. So then, the goal is I have to win with my leader not seriously injured and obviously not dead, or it's a draw. But after doing all of that, I realized, I said, wait a second. My knock goal, even though he came in when he did, just like all the other fighters, he probably should not have had a ready marker. So he could not have just charged his leader because his leader had shot yet. So he didn't have to take a test. I think what had happened was he shot his plasma pistol last. So he went last, I think, with his leader. And so he ran out, he shot his plasma pistol. And then turn 2 started, and I placed my knock goal. And I took a test for him. I guess we were thinking the plasma pistol went off that turn, but it wasn't that turn anymore. This was also the first game of the day, so we were, not quite in the. You definitely get into a rhythm and flow when you're doing this type of thing. So realizing this, that would have totally changed the game. So what we decided to do is look, instead of trying to, and we'd already done this once because we set everybody else up wrong. We read the instructions incorrectly in the scenario. We set up the first 4 guys and then realized, they can't be within 12 inches of either leader, not just the enemy leader. So we had to redo deployment already one time. And this is now, 25 minutes into the game maybe, and we realized, shoot, we just completely ruined this game. And we decided, look, why don't we just stand both of our leaders up, put my knock goal back where I placed him, and pretend none of that ever happened. So that's exactly what we did. We stood our leaders back up. They were fine. They were still in the same, kind of level of danger, but my knock goal didn't have a ready marker. So instead what he did was he moved his leader further away, out of danger. And then I think he took a shot. That shot did wake up my knock goal, got a ready marker, and so the knock goal started chasing the leader. Couldn't charge him anymore, but he obviously gave chase. Again, my leader got, I'm pretty sure he got seriously injured the second time, but he recovered because that Jew was right next to him. I think, again. And at that point, people started getting ready markers left, right, and center. And my web pistol champion knocked out somebody. I shot his specialist with the plasma gun and seriously injured him. He fell off the balcony on purpose. He crawled off the edge to try to get recovered, try to get some assistance. Did get there because I also took out the guy that was going to assist. And I shot at his leader with my long rifle and didn't do anything. But he did go pinned, and he decided, because he still had to get away from this knock goal, and there was no way he was going to stand up and move 4 inches and be far enough away. So his only hope was to instead crawl off the edge of the top floor of the casino. So luckily it was kind of like pyramid shaped, so it was like the high version of the Luxor. And so what he did was he crawled off the edge, he fell. Obviously didn't take any damage because it was just under 3 inches. But he was near another edge, failed the initiative checks, luckily, because then he fell again further away and also didn't take any damage, so he managed to roll himself off the top of the casino to try to get away from this guy. So people were falling all over the place. It was hilarious. But now it's the point where he decided, oh no, that wasn't the point. So then what happened is my knock goal was like, okay, I'm going to show you how it's done. I'm going to jump down onto that level, jump down again, and kill your leader. Sure enough, my knock goal jumped down, succeeded, jumped down again, failed. So now there's two guys laying on the ground. One of them is a knock goal that was spring up. So he decided to take the better part of valor and escape with his leader intact, which was a very smart play. He was for sure going to die. There was nothing else for him to do at that point. I had tied up all of his Jews and his specialists already. They were seriously injured all over the place. They were going to get coup de grace. My leader was okay. He was in a good position now with his long rifle ready, and with the protection of a Jew, of my knuckles right next to his eyes. Yeah, he had to go. It was totally reasonable. So that was another W. Started the day with a W. Really fun game. Might have been my favorite game, in fact. Certainly the best level of sportsmanship, without question. He was, because we both were making mistakes, but we were both just like, look, this is easy, this fixes it. We don't have to walk here, like, this is fine, and let's just play. And that's the attitude you should have in a game like this, I think, which is great. So then I played Amelia, who was rocking Escher. Dangerous Escher, certainly. And we played, it's a scenario where you have 3 options for missions. You choose one without telling your opponent. And it was either get 5 crates into your deployment zone, take out, kill them all, take out 5 of your opponent's gang, and then the other one was escape. So escape off your opponent's board edge with at least 5 people. You pick one, but you don't tell your opponent. Then, starting at turn 2, each player selects one of those goals that their opponent can't win that turn with. So, for example, if my mission is to I decide I want to take all the crates, and I've got 4 of the 5 crates in my deployment zone, and the start of turn 3, Amelia were to say, okay, well, I'm going to say that I'm going to block the crate mission. So you can't win with the crates this turn. That would mean that even if I got that 5th crate in, the game will not end. We'll have to do at least one more turn. I say at least one more turn because you're not allowed to cancel or to counteract the same mission twice in a row. So you had to be a little kind of strategic with which one you were going to cancel. I'm pretty sure we both picked the same mission because we both went straight for the crates. I have a clamber, 8-inch movement, Saigeist. That's just, going to try to run up and grab crates with ease. Most of my guys move pretty quick. So did his. So did my opponent's man. It was rocking the Eschers. Those girls were fast. So she runs up with her juice first thing she does is she sprints with her deathmate, sprints to a crate and back into her place. Like just immediately just has a crate. All right, cool. I plan to do the same thing, so I did almost the same thing, just not quite as gracefully because I had just juice with 6-inch movement. They were able to get to the crates, get them back in the next turn. My champion got to a crate, got it back. My Saigeist ran straight towards the other crate on the other end. We did a fair amount of shooting back and forth. She kept hurting my Saigeist, so as usual, my Saigeist wasn't doing a whole lot, and she had to kind of crawl back to get rescued by a Juve, so that was very distracting to me. And there were also these. The plant was this glowing fungus that if you got pinned in it, you had to roll 2 injury dice, and if they matched, something happened to you. One of them was like your gun is jammed, is considered out of ammo or something because like the glowing goo got in it. So it's Pretty cool thematic stuff. So she, my knuckle pops up, and this time I'm like, okay, I'm facing Escher again. I need to be very careful about that death bait. I need to make sure that my knuckle has backup. And I didn't do that. Instead, I popped my knuckle to charge a champion with a heavy stubber, shredded the champ, and then just consolidated 2 inches back. And was just facing another a ganger or a chew, something that I thought like, okay, maybe she'll pin me, but it's fine. I'll spring up. I forgot about sprint. This deathmate sprinted to stand just right next to my knuckle. I am in her deployment zone with a knuckle and a juve surrounding my pinned behind, and his leader was there, and another ganger were sort of pretty close. So that knuckle's in real trouble. Sure enough, same thing happens. Knuckle does not get the priority. Deathmate minces her. Just totally shreds that knuckle. But again, I got very lucky and only ended up getting either out cold or convalescence, something equally harmless. Very luckily, especially that being my last knuckle. So I've got, I think, 3 crates. She's got 2. It's looking a little dire for me. She's just got this penchant for rolling skulls. I mean, she shot wounded skull. Pretty sure like 2 or 3 guys in one turn, and I'm like, oh shoot, like I'm toast. There's no way I can win at this point. There's no way for me to get there to win. I do still have my champion with the web pistol though, so it's kind of like, I don't know if I want to run away, because if she funnels these Escher towards my champion to take him out, he's potentially going to just web all of them. That'd be pretty cool. But again, I can't remember if I voluntarily bottled her or if I had to by my rolls on this one. Oh no, I did. This is where it went real south. So it was looking grim, but my web pistol champion was in range of one of the crates that was in her deployment zone, so I could grab it and kind of tempt her to bring those girls towards me so I could web them. But I failed my bottle check. My leader, I want to say my leader with the long rifle in the back passed the cool check, but like nobody else did. So the champion with the web pistol, who was right next to a crate, failed his cool check and fled. And at that point, I realized, okay, well now I certainly can't win. I'm only going to face more losses here, so let me just back out. So, the bottle. But it was a great game. Again, Amelia was really fun to play with. She knows the rules. She was chill about everything. Another thing, but this whole weekend, there were like 0 arguments about line of sight. Nobody argued about it. And I tried to make a real conscious effort not to. Like, if my opponent said they needed a 3 to hit, I said, okay, that's fine. You decide. You've got the perspective. You just tell me what you think you can see, and I'll sign off. I don't care all that much. We're here for a fun time. Not to win anything. There's no winning in Necromunda. Winning is when almost everyone dies. So we had a great time. Oh, I forgot the result. The injury result on my knuckle was captured. So that made me tremendously uncomfortable. Having lost, I only made 30 credits. So I told her, I said, look, I will happily give you all my winnings, and you just give me that knuckle back. But, that's your prerogative. You decide. My future essentially is in your hands here, because at this point I've been just saving my credits to try to get my other knuckle back, because my entire gang is trash. Just the 2 knuckles to the mark. And so I really need both. So I just told her, I was like, yeah, I'll give you all my credits, you know, and it is what it is. But she said, I'll tell you what, you can just have them back. It's like, well, that's weird, but thanks. So she's like, if you want to give me half your winnings, I'll take half. It's like, oh, of course, absolutely, done. Here's my 15 credits. Thank you for letting me survive. No need to be greedy in this game. No need to hurt one another. That's how I play. I just feel kind of surprised when other people play the same way, you know. So could have been far worse. We then faced off against Chris. Chris, aka Infernal Racket, on a Spotify. The other music site I can't think of right now. I think he's on Instagram too, but he said he doesn't use it all that much. He made the soundtrack for this event, which was awesome to have a soundtrack. And it was perfect. The music was totally thematic. I was vibing to it the whole time. So, and he was just such a chill dude, a true artist, like just there for his art, and you know, it was really a genuine experience hanging out with him. He won best sportsmanship, and I for sure see why. I ranked him as high as you could rank for sportsmanship as well, because you know, very much the same. Just like, yo man, this is what I got. Let's play. Let's have fun. That's how it's supposed to be. He was the other Delac player, so he and I were the only two Delac players, and we got the mission. It's like not Munitorium, Manufactorum raid or heist or something along those lines. The point was attacker and defender. Attacker tries to blow up 3 pieces of equipment from a rival house. And the rival house is trying to defend against that. And so there's 3 barrels that I was the attacker. I had to blow up. And we thought this is perfect for us because we're the only 2 Delac in this campaign. So it's not from a rival house, but from a rival gang from the house. So we were, in my Delac, we're just trying to get rid of this other gang so that we could, win the Heat Tithe or whatever. And then later we were talking in our final ending multiplayer game that like we've been working together the whole time. It was just a sham to make everybody else think we were against each other. So it's very Delac-y, totally thematic and awesome. And again, you know, he was pretty familiar with Delac, but it had been a while, so I went through the rules for my not cool, how dangerous he is and everything. And, he had a not cool as well, but he didn't use the infiltrating or the hide in the shadows rule. He just placed it on the fort and deployed it. Because he was more concerned about defense, I guess. Anyway, it was a tremendously fun game. It was really back and forth. Again, we had these big plants that were super in the way and very frustrating to deal with. A bunch of the plants were all around the bombs, thanks to his placement, his smart placement. Chris placed them near the bombs. Some of them scattered away, but a lot of them like clustered around the bombs. I also, from the first game I won, I got a bunch of anti-plant grenades, which sound great for an event like this where there are lots of plants to defoliate, which is the keyword those barriers have. The problem is, defoliate weapons cause D3 wounds to plants, but these plants had 5 wounds. So, you know, it would take days to take these plants out with these grenades, especially when I kept running out of ammo. This game was the game about having no ammo. I ran out of ammo on my specialist long rifle. I ran out of ammo with the grenade, or the specialist with the champion with the web pistol had the anti-plant grenades. I ran out of those. Like, it was just wild. So, at this point in the campaign, one of my Jews named Lester has become incredibly crotchety, mean-spirited, and I don't like him. I want him to die throughout this whole game because he does nothing successfully. He keeps getting taken out of action, and he just gets hurt, and then performs poorly again and again and again. He had an eye injury, he had ballistic skill 6. He was enfeebled, so he had toughness 2. So every game I did the same thing. I ran him straight forward as my first move. I wanted him to die. I wanted my opponents to take him out. And they never could. It was insane. Lester made it all the way to the end without dying somehow. So Lester ran straight for the barrel that was surrounded by all the plants. I ran right into the plants, and these plants required an initiative check. And he passed the initiative, so he didn't even get hurt by the plants. So we're going back and forth, taking pot shots at each other. He has two Psygeists. So, but they don't have the Doc Octopus thing. They have, I think they just have las guns, and he's leading into the Deloc Whispers, Psychoterica. So they each have a different weird power. And I remember, having them, that they're non-sanctioned psychers, so I got to take them out. If I take them out of action, I get credits. Credits are hard to come by. I need a lot of them to get my knockable back. This is my chance. So I really kind of focused them down. Again, I told them I had the infiltrate. I was planning on infiltrating near a bomb. Sure enough, there was a bomb that wasn't covered well enough, and I infiltrated right on it. He had kind of tucked it away around a bunch of plants to make it hard to get to, but ultimately that left a lot of cover for me to just kind of stand right in. So I ran my juice toward these the other 2 bombs. You have to get 2 of them to win. You have to detonate 2 pieces of equipment, not bombs, the equipment that I'm trying to blow up. We had to place bombs, so it's a double action to place a bomb. It starts with 1 counter, and at the end phase of every turn, you roll a d6. You add what's on the counter for the bomb. If it's a 7 or more, the bomb blows up like a frag grenade, so it could hurt yourself if you're still there. Anything else, and then the counter is just increased by 1. So I planted that first bomb right away, and it didn't go off. I just kept increasing. Eventually, it blew up after it got to like a 3, I think. But I got it on turn 1. So, I got the bomb planted at turn 1. So that was very helpful. The equipment in the middle, barrel in the middle of the field, I ran my Psygeist up to, but he had his Knockghoul right there. So my Psygeist ran around the corner, fought the Knockghoul at versatile range after doing her stim slugs, because I gave her stim slugs, because I love it. She's seriously interested in the Knockghoul. She can't coup de grace because she doesn't get face to face because she's not silly. And she used her 2-inch consolidate to move kind of back into cover. Chris manages to run up a prospect to help the Knockghoul, and it does help the Knockghoul, but my Psygeist goes out there and shreds it again, and this time kills it. So the my Knockghoul, I have 2 of them now. So I said that I wanted these credits. I really wanted these credits for other purposes. I had finally gotten enough to get my second Knockghoul. Mostly thanks to Amelia's kindness, I think. So one of them is brand new, spring up, Serpent's Fangs, no knives. He goes up on one of the high kind of gantries. I think it's like 10 inches up or so. And the other one, there's like no place to place it. I spent a lot of time trying to just figure out where I'm supposed to place this Knockghoul, because a lot of the area is really covered. But I find a spot kind of where the other Knockghoul and the prospect were, but really further back, so not really threatening in any kind of way. But I run him up. He gets into this like sort of central area. There's a lot of cover near that prospect. Near his other Knockghoul, he throws a smoke bomb, gets his Knockghoul in the smoke, tries to charge my Knockghoul, and it's just short. So these Knockghouls are standing like face to face. There's another prospect there. My champion, with the web pistol, manages to move up and shoot web at the Knockghoul. Webs the Knockghoul. Rather than charge and kill that Knockghoul, my Knockghoul, I went for the prospect. And I obviously shredded her. His Knockghoul, I think, it went out of action. It did. It went out of action, and it was captured. So I thought, oh boy, because not only was it uh, webbed when it went out of action, but it was with my guy with takedown. So the champion has takedown, which is a obfuscation skill, which is the skills for Delag, where if you take an enemy out of action with that fighter, you roll d6, and on a 4-up, they automatically suffer the captured result on the lasting injury table. Problem is, I did web the Nakul, but he didn't go out of action right away. He went out of action in recovery. So he did not get the 4-up captured result. But I did roll, he did roll a lasting injury of captured anyway, so he did end up getting captured. And I thought, okay, well, I get to pay it forward because I'm obviously going to just charge 15 credits because that's what just happened to me. It only seems right. Plus, we were, in coots anyways at this point. So I move. His other prospect is back, and she keeps trying to shoot my. I want to say she keeps trying to shoot my Zeitgeist. Or maybe she tries to shoot somebody in my backfield. She keeps standing up to shoot somebody. But because my leader now has Overwatch the long rifle in that corner, every time she stands up, he shoots her, and he knocks her down. Doesn't kill her, so he does it 3 times. The 3rd time, he finally takes her out of action. So I have taken both of his Zeitgeists out of action, which means I'm getting 2 D3 times 10 credits as a result of the non-sanctioned Psyker rule. So that's great news for me. Plus, I still have my Whisper Merchant, who has not had an opportunity to use his Rumors skill yet, which allows me to make turn 1 die, and it was 6 in both the pre-battle and post-battle sequences for specific things. One of them is rewards. So, reward for capturing a non-sanctioned Psyker. It could have been a 6. I ended up not doing it because I rolled a 2, and I thought, I'm just gonna keep it 2. I don't want to be too crazy powerful or anything. And, an extra 20 credits on top of that just seemed unnecessary. I've got my 2 Nakkuls. I don't need both, so I just rolled a 2, and I said, okay, I'm gonna stick with it. And then I rolled a 5 for the other one. So, I got 40 credits there, which is great. On top of the 50 for winning. I did end up winning. I took out both Zeitgeists. And the Nakkul went out of action, so he decided, I gotta get out of here. So I did not fault him for that. Oh, Pete, the brand new Nakkul, his name is Reek. So whenever he charges him, he goes Reek. He, like I said, he started at the top of this 11-inch or 10-inch high platform. And he had gotten, Chris had gotten a reinforcements rather, and he placed it. It was 2 sidearms right next to my leader, with my leader's back to it, so I wouldn't be able to overwatch it. And I kept having to overwatch the Zeitgeist, which is the other direction, so I kept my back to this guy the whole time. So my only hope was maybe my Nakkul can get there and tie him up so he doesn't kill my leader. So Reek runs off the edge in a charge, fails his initiative test, and falls. And he ends up losing a wound. So he gets, he runs up with this guy, point blank range, 2 shots of the sidearm, and I'm pretty sure he seriously injured the Nakkul, and then took it out of action. And I couldn't do anything about it both times. And again, I think it was out cold, so he got very lucky. Or I got very lucky, rather. Nakkul was lucky. I don't know. I guess I was lucky. We get to so that happens. Reek sucks. He just dives off a precipice and practically kills himself. So fun first experience for him. But we ultimately win and get some good credit generation from this one. and move on to the next game where I finally get to face Richard, Let's Gray Minis. Hoping to play the Necromacho boys. We were running out of time, so I was very glad I got to play him. And we played on Escape the Pit, this awesome board with all this, like, I guess it was MDF terrain, but it looked really legit. Fully painted, very Sector Mechanicus looking, huge tower in the middle. Must have been 2 feet tall. I mean, and the whole point was we had to get crates and carry them up to the top of the tower to escape at the top. He's playing Ash Waste Nomads. They are absolutely beautifully painted, obviously. And we end up... I place my knock... So Escape the Pit. The player of priority rolls a d6 at the start of every turn, starting with the second. And I think it's like a 4+ and the walls start to close in with this like deadly fungus. You can take an initiative check to avoid it, but if you don't, you go out of action. And it comes in 6 inches on the edge of the board, and then on 2 edges of the board, they're random. So the idea is it's closing in with this fungus for me to escape from the center through the top, because we're getting extracted through the top, I guess. So it happened on the very first chance it could happen. Comes in 6 inches after my Notghoul had come on the board and killed Ganger. The fungus rolls in, and I fail my initiative check. So Notghoul was out of action. Again, this is my old Notghoul, so I'm very nervous. Sure enough, he rolls up a lasting injury, and again, it's like convalescence or out cold, so I'm just getting so lucky on these. The other Notghoul, Reek, dives out of a tower and passes his initiative check this time. So he doesn't fall on his face. Just a little nerve-wracking, because it could have happened. Charges the Ganger, kills the Ganger, but then he gets shot. He gets shot kind of a lot, and he ends up seriously injured in the backfield. Not a whole lot I can do about it. I've got a couple guys I've got eyes on, but there's one guy on the ground floor that's totally out of my line of sight who has clear charge range against my seriously injured Notghoul. So he's going to die. However, instead of doing that first, Richard thought it wise, and he had a guy he had a sniper in a high position in his deployment zone who was running away from fungus. The fungus came and he passed his initiative check, kind of dove out of the way, and he gets there and he says, "Okay, well, I'm going to jump across this gap." Like, that's a high gap. It was like, yeah, it was at least a foot up, I think, maybe a little less. But he tries to leap this gap, and he fails his initiative test, and he falls. He only takes a flesh wound. The reason he only takes a flesh wound is because he landed on that guy that was out of sight and about to stomp out a Notghoul. So that guy took the same hit as the guy that fell, and he rolled the skull and went out of action. So he dove down with this guy who only doesn't even get it, barely gets a scratch because he landed on his other dude and killed him. That is the sole reason that my Notghoul didn't go out of action there. So my Saigeist tries to climb down to the rescue. She does a double run, clambering down this tower, octopussing, dock-ocking all over the board, gets right next to my Notghoul, rolls double serious injury for the recovery test, so he stays seriously injured. Luckily, again, for me, I've escaped with one crate. This is the point where we realize, oh, snap. You only hold one crate at a time. And I've got guys with like 3 and 4 crates, not realizing you can only hold one at a time. But none of them escaped, so it didn't make a difference, like from a rules perspective, because you had to escape to get any kind of benefit from the crates. So it didn't really matter ultimately, but it was just one of those things. Every game we play, I feel like there's some rule or nuance that's missed. It's a part of the game, and we usually, if you can fix it, if it makes a difference in your game and you can fix it without a big deal, just fix it. Don't worry about how hard it is, or if you specifically have to walk back every last action to where it was. Just fix it. If some guy is dead but shouldn't be, just put him back. Whatever. fog of war, stuff happens, you know. Maybe it looked like he went out, but he really did. I don't know, whatever you got to do to just play your game, you know. So we end the game there. He bottles because now he's taken out his own guy, and I've got really lucky on a couple of my wound rolls on some shots. Lester is again doing the same thing. I am trying to kill Lester at this point. I started him at the highest point on my deployment edge. He jumped across to the next platform successfully. He tried to jump down to another platform, and he failed, and he fell, and he was getting shot at, and he just wouldn't die again. It's just insane. He went at one point, I want to say he was seriously injured, and he crawled after this guy down the edge. Fell, obviously, but didn't get hurt, so wasn't high enough, and ended up recovering, I think, before ultimately going out of action. And again, out cool. Nothing bad. So, another W, and it was just a really fun game. Richard's a chill dude. Very cool. And just it was just a great experience, man. I just had a lot of fun with it. So, Roy came up to me, he's like, hey, can we get a game before, we got to end here? We got to make it quick, though. And I was like, fine, I'm down. Let's do it quick. So we set up on the board right next to where we played. Didn't even really finish my, updates or anything like that. We just threw down. This was a Mercy mission. It's such a cool idea for a scenario. It's two gangs have already fought, and everybody on the board is seriously injured and has no ammo in their ranged weapons. So they all have ready markers, but everybody's seriously injured, and you each have a single hive scum and a rogue doc. And the idea is they run around and they try to help. They're on a mission of mercy to try to help everybody recover. And you can't, you're not supposed to target the doc or the attendant, the hive scum. If you do, I think it's like they can't go out of action or whatever, but they also can't coup de grace. They're not trying to hurt anybody, just trying to help. So it's very cool, but the rules weren't perfect. And here's why. Here's what happened. You place each other's fighters, which is kind of cool. You just place them anywhere on the board. There's no restriction. So, and then once you've placed them, you determine randomly which board edge is yours, and your goal is to get 5 of your fighters off that board edge. The other cool-ish rule about the scenario is that if the fighters succumb to their injury, they're automatically just considered out cold. So, sounds like it's a horrifying concept with everybody being seriously injured, but because of that mechanic, it's not so bad. You just go out cold. There's no real consequence. The problem comes in rolling these recovery tests. I rolled flesh wounds for like more than half my gang, including my knuckle. So I had a whole bunch of guys recover. On the other hand, Roy rolled his recoveries, and I want to say he rolled 3 skulls. So 3 of his guys are just gone right away. I think it was 2 skulls on a series. So 2 of his guys just gone right away. One of his guys gains a flesh wound, stays seriously injured. The rest of his guys all stay seriously injured, except for one guy who has an arc hammer, so he stands up. He does a versatile attack on the Juve that's close to him, and he want to say he's seriously interested, but he can't coup de grace because he's had to stand up and then do a fight basic personal action, so he can't. Not everything left to coup de grace to charge or anything like that. My Knockgold then springs up, charges the hammer guy, kills the hammer guy. Now Roy has lost so many guys that he doesn't have 5 fighters left to get off the board. So it's loses. It was the shortest game in history. The reason that it felt like it could use some help is I feel like everybody who goes out of action should only suffer out cold. Whether they were killed by another fighter in close combat or they just failed to recover from being seriously injured. Because if your guys recover, they're just going to run around coup de grace. And the coup de grace, if that's a regular injury, that's just potentially really brutal for somebody. And it's just totally based on the dice for these recovery tests. Another idea to kind of tweak the scenario would be to have it so that only the rogue doc and the hive scum can actually recover anybody. Nobody actually recovers on their own or gains flesh wounds or anything. They could just crawl around, and the hive scum and the doctor are the only two that could do those recovery actions. I think that would be another way to kind of balance it out so it's not so brutal. Luckily, I didn't do anything bad to his guy. This is more just like seeing the battlefield and what could have been. It could have been really, really bad. My Zeitgeist, for example, recovered and was surrounded by like 2 seriously injured guys. And she easily could have just mulched them. Because she's got 3-inch versatile, so 3 attacks she doesn't charge. So she could have just caused a real problem for him. And a bunch of injuries. Meanwhile, my Notghoul did get one of my Notghouls did not recover, and so he ended up getting a hand injury. This was we kind of forgot about the out cold rule, so he got a hand injury, which he got a hand injury. I had enough credits. This was the last actual game. We didn't even actually track this game because it was so short and so silly. It didn't really count for anything, but I still took the hand injury, and I still searched for and purchased a bionic arm, just because I thought it was a really cool concept to have a Notghoul Serpent's Fangs with like a robotic arm. Just sounds awesome, so they did that just for funsies. Again, great guy to play with, very fun game. We both knew the rules pretty well, didn't make too many mistakes, I don't think. Even though it was a wonky snare. It needs tweaks. That's okay. That's what it's about sometimes. Final game was a group mission. We had 2 teams of 3. It was me, Patrick, 2 teams of 4. Me, Patrick, Tom, and Brian. So Deloc, Squats, Sticky Cawdor, and Escher against Nick, Chris, DC, and who else played on that side? There was the Cheat Sealer called the Nick had. There was the Kalanites that DC had. It was the Deloc that Chris had. And and Richard. Richard had to play too, because there's 7. Only 7 players. So Richard filled in for one of them. With his, what do you call them? Nomads. So this mission was, and we had just gone to dinner, and so we had like an hour and 10 minutes to play this game. So we were like, we need to just roll, move, ignore the rules, just do whatever we can do, whenever we can do it, and see what happens, basically, kind of thing. That's exactly what we did. So it was a really silly kind of effort. Everyone's kind of like scrambling to get it done. And ultimately, the other side won by getting to a landing pad before us, passing an intelligence check, calling down a shuttle, getting on the shuttle, and then escaping. What they didn't realize is that Chris and I had been in cahoots the whole time as the 2 Deloc players, and he knew that I had already placed all the explosives on the shuttle. So what their team called the shuttle, that was our story anyway. So who knows if it's true? Deloc. Ultimately, incredible weekend. So much fun. Such a great time. So many cool dudes. Such good camaraderie and community. All like 12 of us went to dinner together at this Irish place. Maybe it was Mulligan's, Madigan's, something like that. It was really good at corned beef and cabbage. It was awesome. We just had a really good time together, as it should be. So that is, I guess, my synopsis of the Necromacho Entertainment Podcast presents Heat Tithe. Again, Roy and Richard did such an amazing job of running it, putting it together. The shop was incredible and so supportive. They had some cool prizes. I got an awesome. The reason I chose my prize is I wanted to make sure that I picked something. Oh, what did I win it for? Most. What was it? It wasn't most rep. It may have been most experience. Maybe it was most experience. I don't remember. I won something for something that, who cares? Nobody wins. Think about it. But I wanted to make sure that I got something that I would use so that I could, remember this experience, this event. So they had a bottle of Dirty Down Rust, which is liquid gold for Necromunda terrain makers. But I didn't just want to get that. Didn't seem like the right choice. They had some other stuff, but what I grabbed was this paint cup, a water cup, and it's got little ridges on it to hold paintbrushes across the top while they dry. It's got little ridges in the bottom to help kind of agitate the tip of a brush. And it's bright red. I'm gonna hopefully throw a Necromacho Entertainment sticker, which I forgot to get. Hopefully throw one of those on it to just really ram it home. But yeah, so excellent weekend. Can't wait to do the next event. They're talking about doing Nova, so I might do that. They're talking about doing Necromania 3 in October. I'd love to do that. It'd be really cool to be able to, bring some of the Tampa guys with. They were talking about an event in Tampa or Orlando, getting everybody together. That would be incredible. I would love to do that. Because I know the Orlando guys are interested in more in Necromunda. And the Tampa guys too, obviously. But ultimately, if I could get all these guys together, I can get them to see the Mordheim Awards. And we can really start the fun. We can start the statewide Mordheim League. Yes, that's the goal. That's the dream. Munda's great, but Mordheim is life. It's been a pleasure talking to you about Necromunda while I pass the 6.5 hours that I have to spend in this car. So I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody that's listened. I frankly can't believe it. Let me know. I'm always curious on feedback, so please let me know what you want to hear, what you don't want to hear. If you're here for just Mordheim and you don't want to hear any Necromunda stuff, tell me. Because I would certainly be willing to cut Necromunda completely out of my life for Mordheim. as much as I love both games, Mordheim's the one. That's my passion. That's my favorite. We did talk about a little bit about my kind of dream is I would love to see just some tweaks to the Mordheim rules to sort of make it a little easier for new players and also modernize it a little bit. I'm not so certain on the alternating activations. That to me completely changes the dynamic of the game. Different games, both fun. But I don't mind the you go, I go of Mordheim. So my tweaks are more like change ballistic skill to be 3+, 4+, 5+. Not take your ballistic skill, subtract it from 7, and then consider a modifier. Why are we doing this? It's already enough math when it just says 3+, So I think I would simplify that. I would probably want to tweak combat somehow. I like Dan's idea of making ones basically critical misses on multi-attack units. So maybe there's something there that could be done. I think the rules surrounding charging hidden or charging models that are out of line of sight, and that could be tweaked as well. I like how Necromunda does it. You could charge somebody you can't see, but you just have a -1 to hit. I think that makes a lot of sense because sure, you might not know exactly where this person is, but if you are running around a corner and you know somebody's probably there and you're ready to fight, you should be able to run around, see them, and start hitting them. But it being a little harder makes more sense to me than just not being able to do it at all, which is important. Anyway, I'm going far afield here. This was a Necromunda heavy weekend, hence 2 Necromunda heavy episodes. I can't promise that I won't do that again, especially if I go to Nova to play Necromunda, because I did see Mordheim on the list. But I'm also going to Orlando again soon. We're starting our Mordheim campaign in Tampa here soon with Dan. Dan kind of running the show behind the scenes. That's going to be a lot of exciting stuff to do, to talk about. So yeah, certainly not a Necromunda podcast. Don't get it twisted. But yeah, thank you for listening. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you guys next time.